Hey guys, this is Wake here, bringing you the Lost Season 3 playoffs preview. Sort of a little late just because obviously Hatsworth and Insanity have already played theirs, but we'll get to that when we get to that. I am joined right now by Waffles. How you doing, Waffles?
I'm doing alright, but how are you gonna say lost without telling them the full name?
This
We
is
are the
fair.
League of Super Shitposters. We gotta
Super
take some pride.
Shitposters. Yes, taking
Yeah,
pride.
no, I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Hey, let's get into it.
we've got three playoff series to preview, and then obviously a like look back at the series that has already happened that we didn't get this out in time to cover.
Yeah,
So
it happened kind of early in the week for us,
like
which is great, but
that is
you know.
super good, but it's just one of those. We kind of thought of this idea on Tuesday night, started working on it, or actually no, we thought of this on Monday night and started working on it. Didn't get it together until obviously we're recording this on what is Thursday for me, what is Friday for Waffles, and the
hmm
two of them played on Tuesday. So that's on
Yeah,
us for not thinking of this sooner, but we're here.
but yeah, we'll talk about those a bit more at the end,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah. So why don't we go ahead and start off by discussing the first playoff series, which is Emblem versus Lily. So,
Yes.
first thing that stands out, obviously, this one is a rematch of the regular season. Um, Emblem took the first matchup, 1-0. Emblem looks like the odds-on favorite. Came in, comes into the playoffs, 3-1 record. Looked really strong through the whole season. His tightest win was the one over Lily. So, why don't you talk a little bit more about what happened the first time these two played?
Yeah, so what happened the first time those guys played, they literally set up a really good, just like built up Savali and was just wrecking through Emblem's team. And then Emblem was able to run it back towards the end with his Salazzle. Salazzle's a Pokemon there. It got a nasty plot and then just ended up outspeeding the rest of Lily's team. So it did come down to just that Salazzle outspeeding a lot of the different Pokemon. One of the things with that matchup, I would say, is that while Emblem does have kind of like the creative, Emblem has kind of the statistical advantage. I think Lily has a lot of creativity that she can use
Yeah,
to, yeah.
Lily definitely brought a lot of creativity to the first matchup. And I think that she's going to need to find a way to be even more creative.
Yes.
Like, honestly, looking at this series, the thing that stands out to me is a quote from Gurren Lagann.
Oh,
Specifically,
okay.
like, from the very beginning of Gurren Lagann, the first time Kamina and Viral fight, there's a line about a sneak attack can only work once.
Yes.
Once you've tricked me the first time, I'm not going to let my guard down.
Well, that's the
And
thing. I think Lily has a lot of different kinds of tricks in her
yeah,
bag, so it's really going to depend on how creative she can be, and as well as how effectively creative she can be.
yeah,
I think one of the issues she's had in the season is that she's been very creative, and very innovative, but it's not always been something that's efficient in
yeah.
battles.
And so, like, it's one of those. The first time, part of the reason why Silvally was able to get so powered up was Emblem traded 3 layers of spikes for 3 power-up punches out of Lady N. I
hmm
think this time, if we see another situation where Skarmory and Ladian are paired up, this time
Oh,
it's
Whirlwind is coming out immediately.
yeah, it's either going to be an immediate power-up punch gets hit with Whirlwind, or power-up punch gets answered with something like Iron Head or Brave Bird, and Ladian loses a huge chunk of HP to the point where Lily would be forced to, if she wanted to bring back the power-up punch, baton pass set, she would have to pass out at +1 or maybe +2. There's no way that she could get the uncontested +3 that she got the first time. So
Yeah. I honestly don't think we're going to see that matchup, though. I don't think we'll see Ledian, because I'm sure that Lily knows that she can't bring those again. Like, one of the things that Lily has been doing is she does bring different sets each time.
yeah,
So I think she knows that's going to be her way to win, is just she has to bring something new.
yeah. And so
Yeah.
basically it's just a question of like where she innovates. Does she
Mhm.
find some new way to catch Emblem off guard, especially with the fact that he's sort of already seen that like one time seeing someone innovate against like other people,
Mhm.
sometimes you don't respect it as much as when they've innovated against you and they get you with it.
Yes.
So it's just going to come down to basically with Emblem having his guard a little higher.
Yeah, I
Is
think he's going to be hyper aware of this.
Yeah, is Lily gonna find some new novel way to get at him?
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see it, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I think this is probably still gonna be a close matchup, but I don't think it's gonna be as close as the first one. And I think we're gonna see Emblem run it back and pick up the repeat win.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is going to be a very interesting match. I do always like seeing Lily's matches because it's always something interesting, something new. But I don't think she's going to be able to bring it back here against Emblem, especially with how aware he's going to be of those like fringe sets that Lily would be trying to use.
Yeah,
So I think we're in agreement there.
yeah. So anything else to add on that one before we move on to the next uh,
No,
matchup?
I think we're good. We can move on.
Okay. So second on the sheet we have Kawasabi taking on Shinenha. So this one is probably like the crown jewel of the first round. 8 games
Yeah.
played, 1 loss between the two of them. That's really exciting and looks to show some really high level Pokemon.
Yeah,
So
I mean, both of them have been just on an absolute tear this whole time. Shinhan
yeah,
has been completely undefeated. Kawasabi, I think, was only defeated in week. Uh, no, was somewhere around there. But yeah,
it
Kawasabi's
was
only taken one loss this whole.
yeah. His one loss was to Emily in week 3. Or
Ah,
no, week 4.
yeah.
Yeah, it was the
In week 4. Okay,
last
just recent.
yeah, it was the very last matchup he played. He lost to Emily.
Ah, yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely it's going to be exciting. Kawasabi's been in playoffs pretty consistently. He's got a lot of experience under his belt. And
yeah,
then Shinenha is just has an amazing team. It's
yeah.
ridiculous how crazy that team is.
It's one of those like every season we see someone draft Rain, and every season people are like, well, if you see the rain coming, you can deal with the rain. And every season, the person who says that turns out to be wrong. Like, a lot of weather drafts can be easily overcome, but like, rain, just the power that you get out of the combination of Pelipper, Swampert, and Tapu Koko, because somehow the rain draft always gets Coco. I don't know how it keeps happening, but it
I feel like
does.
it's always planned. Round one, they get Coco.
Yeah, they always go like round 1 Coco, and nobody is like, oh, they took Tapu Koko. They must be planning to draft Rain. Stop
No, it
it.
always comes as a surprise.
And it's like surprise Pikachu meme at this point for that. So
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I would say even like, especially with the theme thing going on this format, I think Shininha ended up really lucky. He got the Primarina, and that just gave him access to pretty much everything he needed
yeah,
for a rain team,
Primarina
right?
is such a bonkers like thing to end up on.
Right there. It was real good.
So
Yeah, but oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so how do you think these two like match up? Hypothetical, like 6v6. What do you see coming out of this?
Well, okay, so I think Shin's like game plan here is going to be pretty standard. He's got the Rain team. He's just going to go for that overpowering Rain. I think a lot of his team is based around that, so it's going to be probably his best option. But the thing about Kawasabi's team is he's just got a lot of. He's got some good walls on his team to deal with the Rain, stuff like Milotic, Amunga, Whimsicott, things like that. But I kind of think that he's going to struggle offensively. You know, a lot of his stronger Pokemon are like Darmanitan, Mega Medicham, Haxorus, that really, I think, struggle in the Rain versus a Tapu Koko. I don't know. Are you feeling the same way about that?
Yeah, I am 1000% on board with you. I feel like it's going to be very quick for Kawasabi to, or sorry, for Shininha to basically take momentum, and a lot of it is going to be around how well does Kawasabi use Milotic and Amoonguss as floodgates,
Yes.
because like as soon as one of those drops, or like worst case scenario, like particularly for Amoonguss, if Amoonguss goes down early,
Yeah,
then
he's going to struggle.
Shin just has to rotate into a situation where Tapu Koko eventually lines up against Milotic, and Swampert, like, depending on the Swampert set, I don't see anything else on Kawasabi's team that stops Swampert from just having a heyday. Medicham, heavy chunk from Waterfall. Tornadus T, heavy chunk from Waterfall, heavy chunk from Ice Punch. Darmanitan dies to everything. Like, there's very
Listen,
little, like, outside of Amoonguss and Milotic that survives Swampert.
I think we're going to see defensive Cricketune. It's going to come. It'll be able to take on that with a Leaf Blade. Wait, Cricketune gets Leaf Blade. I'm pretty sure. He's got the big arms.
I'm gonna double check that real quick.
Yeah, please do. While you're doing that, though, one thing I would say, I kind of disagree. I don't think it'll be so quick for momentum. I think it's going to be a real like stall fest to start as they both try to break through each other's defensive cores. And I think once someone's core is broken, that's going to be a huge game changer. So right now, I'm kind of leaning on Shin winning this matchup, but I don't think it's impossible for Kawasabi.
Oh,
I think he's got a lot of experience. I think he'll be able to come up with some innovative strategies for that.
absolutely. Like, this is the hardest one to call,
Definitely.
but I definitely think that this is probably pretty biased towards Shininha. Also, I double checked it, and Cricketune gets Absorb.
Absorb. That listen.
Grass moves.
Don't knock Absorb. Okay, we're gonna have that defensive big root absorb Cricketune. I'm calling it right now.
That base power 20.
Oh, definitely. Listen, that's 20 more than you have.
That is 20 more than I have in base power. Just because I'm curious. Let's just look at this. Okay, so...
Alright, are you doing the calcs?
I am pulling up the calcs.
Alright. Gosh. I swear though, I feel like he should have Leaf Blade. I mean, look at his hand. Like, that just screams Leaf Blade to me.
Okay, so Cricketune Absorb is so underwhelming that it's not even in the calculator on Pokemon Showdown.
See, that's how they're gonna get you. If man,
This is
All right, I bet. What about Perish Song? You know what? Screech defensive Perish Song.
Yes.
I want to see it. Go Sabi. You know what to do. I swear, does this really not get it? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
All right, but anyways, yes, let's get back to that.
Back to that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Without special attack investments, the absorb would deal between 27 and roughly 33, a little under, but not much.
Okay.
So, yeah, the absorb crickitude, new hot tech.
Listen, it's a surprise. It'll be fine.
Yeah. So, I think that probably.
Yeah, maybe it won't come, but
Yeah.
I do think he's got enough grass types that if he's playing it really well, I think he's going to have to be at the top of his game. But if he is, and I think he does have that chance to bring it back.
I think the big place where he could break it is having a surprise electric move somewhere and staying in
Okay.
on something that shouldn't stay in on Pelipper normally and getting it with Thunder Punch. Or, like, Thunder Punch,
The electric move, yeah.
Thunderbolt, some form of, like, electric move somewhere that we don't expect to see it. Like,
Yeah, I think that's probably what he's going to do.
Yeah, I think that's probably his game plan, and it's just, does Shininha respect that there are going to be electric moves up and down this lineup and just never keep Pelipper in for longer than a U-turn?
Yeah, he's definitely going to have to play.
So we are in agreement, though, that we think that Shininha probably has the edge here.
I think so. Right now, I'm calling. How about you?
I'm sorry, it cut out there for a second. Can you repeat?
Yeah, of course. Right now, I'm calling. Uh-oh.
That's not good.
Okay, well, that's all right. I think my computer is having some connection issues at the moment, but no big deal. We'll just keep going. But yeah, so I'm thinking 2-0 win for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think 2-0. Maybe 3, but probably 2.
Yeah. Either way, this is definitely going to be one of those games to watch.
Yeah, this is the to-watch series of the first round. Like,
definitely.
If you can be free to see this live, watch this live.
And if you're going to be free to see that live, you got to be in the Discord server. Yes. Not so shameless plug.
Yep. So, gonna just move on to playoff match number 3. This is me versus Maddie Bananas. I'm playing in this one, so I'm not going to say anything other than I won the first matchup 2-0 because Venusaur is a fat boy. And I'm just going to let you say whatever you have to say about this one.
All right. So if we're looking at the two of you guys, and I think Matty Bananas is definitely the underdog here. I think in week 1, he started off really strong, but after that, it's just kind of been going downhill a bit. I know that this is kind of his first league format, so he's learning the ropes, doing what he can. But I think right now he's kind of going to struggle a bit in this matchup. I think he was doing really well in the last week's matchup until the Venusaur started tanking everything. So I think a big part of this is going to depend on what kind of a plan he comes up to deal with the Mega Venusaur wall, and if he can bring a few new tricks. But I don't really know how well it's going to work just because he's kind of used his main tricks. A lot of this season, he's shown how well he can use Hydreigon and Landorus, but I think, Wake, honestly, you're probably expecting those this time, right?
Yep.
Yeah. He brings them almost every week, and he, like I said, he does use them very well, but for a repeat matchup, I think he's not going to be comfortable enough to change his game plan, and I think it's gonna kind of hurt him in this matchup. So right now, I'm predicting Wake to win about a 3-0.
Reasonable.
Yeah. Anything you want to add to that?
Um, just Maddie Bananas, good luck if you happen to see this video. I look forward to another really interesting battle.
Yeah, it was a good match,
It was
definitely.
really
Before.
good. Like I said, I'm not gonna give too much of my own insights just because I don't want to give Maddie either any bad ideas that might seem like I'm potentially maliciously poisoning the well, or give him any good ideas to beat me with, because I could see myself doing that.
You could give him neutral ideas, like he should use an attacking move.
He should use attacking moves. Attacking
At
moves are
least
how
one.
you knock out the opponent's Pokemon.
Yes, Adventurer's Guide 101.
Press X to open the menu.
I thought that was for doubting.
You do press X to doubt too.
Ah, I see. Well, that's kind of confusing, isn't it?
Open the menu, doubt. I mean, it all
Hmm.
depends on what controller you're playing on. So,
I guess so. Fair enough, fair enough. But why don't we move on into the last matchup for this
yes.
week's playoffs?
Yeah, the one that has actually already happened, which was Insanity versus Hatsworth.
Yes.
So obviously we both have a document where we sort of posted our thoughts on this before we started recording. I know that you put that you thought Insanity was going to take it. I put
Yeah.
that I thought Hatsworth was going to take it. So
I think this is the only one we've actually disagreed on
yeah, this
because
is
you weren't putting anything for you.
yeah, it's one of those. We agreed that we thought that Emblem would beat Lily. We agreed that we thought Shinenha would take down Kawasabi. I didn't post an opinion on my matchup with Maddie Bananas because,
Yeah.
again, I'm playing there.
You're trying to be
So
objective.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Makes sense.
this was the one where we disagreed. So why don't you tell me why you thought that Maddie Bananas or
Okay.
sorry, why you thought Insanity would take it? I'll tell you why I thought Hatsworth would take it, and then we can sort of
Yeah.
discuss what actually happened.
So I think that it really came down for me that I thought Hatzler's team had a slight disadvantage. Insanity's team had started off as a sand team. Now it's not really a sand team as much, but it does still have some very strong sand options, as well as Victini got added to the team, which I thought that in the sun, Victini would just have a field day, to be honest. But I did think it was going to be very close. I put it as a 1-0. But I was kind of thinking, oh, if he doesn't bring the sun, he's going to struggle a little bit. And if he does, then he's also going to struggle a little bit. So it kind of just came down to, I thought it would be close, but that Hatsworth would have a little bit of a disadvantage.
And a lot of my thinking was basically yes, in the sun, Victini's V Create would destroy just whatever it got pointed at, but there is sort of the downside to using a stat cutting move that's almost a guaranteed OHKO,
That's true.
which is obviously you leave yourself vulnerable to the free switch in, and Hatsworth just has a lot of ability to throw haymakers on free switches. And
Okay.
so either Victini would stay in with the -1 defense, -1 special defense, -1 speed, and just get ruined, or Hatsworth could always take those free switches to just throw haymakers at what he saw coming in. And so obviously the Victini V create didn't really play a role in the like actual matchup that got played, but that was sort of where I saw the like part of Hatsworth's advantage coming in, and then I know we also sort of disagreed on what Chansey was gonna do because
Yeah, definitely.
as you rightfully pointed out, Chansey is Hatsworth's big like one defensive bulwark in his team, the thing that he always snaps back to in questionable situations.
Yes.
And obviously, Insanity has a very physically biasing team. But
Yeah, and I think when it comes to the wall matchup of Chansey versus the Porygon 2, I was seeing that Porygon 2 kind of had an advantage there as well.
yeah, but it's one of those. Hatsworth typically doesn't really use his Chansey for a lot of like snapbacks. He doesn't soak a lot into Chansey. He uses Chansey more for clericking. And
I guess that makes
so
sense.
it's one of those like being able to pass two wishes with Chansey that suddenly reloads like 700 HP across things like Venusaur and Charizard. That's come in on rocks, take a weak hit on Charizard, go down to 20-25%, and then suddenly you're back at 80. And so I think that that was a big point for me. And then the other thing was a lot of what I have seen out of Insanity is using Doug Trio to basically force 5-on-5s that Insanity wants. Basically, he picks the one thing he doesn't want to deal with out of your 6 and just deletes it with Doug Trio. And for Hatsworth, the two things that you most want to delete are Charizard Y and Venusaur. Zard Y is flying, so Arena Trap doesn't catch it. And then Venusaur looks at Doug Trio and says, I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me. And so that was the other thing that I thought was going in Hatsworth's favor was he favorably matched up against sort of one of the big things that Insanity always uses as like a key part to his team.
That's true. Yeah.
And
I would agree there for sure.
yeah.
Do you want to talk about what happened now as well?
Yeah.
Just kind of give them a recap.
Obviously, a lot of that matchup was just Hatsworth throwing everything in the kitchen sink to try and crack Pori 2. And that took, I think, almost half the turns of the battle were just him trying to crack Pori 2. I'll admit, I haven't watched the replay since a little after it happened on Tuesday. So my
Ah,
memory is not
okay.
the
I saw a little
freshest.
bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the whole
I
thing.
think.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I watched the whole thing, and that was the big thing that stood out to me was like it never really felt in doubt that Hatsworth was driving the momentum of the match. It was just could Hatsworth break through that Pori 2 and sort of end before Pori got too many like good status spreads off of Tri Attack? And so he did finally, and then once Pori 2 went down, it was just all over. Everything else was just bang, 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 dead. So,
Yeah, I think once he was able to break through the Porygon 2, it definitely opened up a huge just hole for him to just throw Charizard and throw Electivire and throw Venusaur and just destroy everything.
yeah. And obviously, there was a lot of trading back and forth, like in between windows of Pori 2 stalling out. Like, I think Pori was the third, or like, 3 Pokemon went down before Porygon, and it almost felt like they were all incidental drops. And it was really just like Pori 2 is down, that's it. Lights out. Pack it up, kids. Hatsworth has punched his ticket to the next round.
Jesus.
So
Yeah, so he was able to break through. I think he won on a 2-0, right?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Did you say what you were predicting the differential to be?
I never really called the differential there.
Mm.
I was like waffling between do I think that this is going to be real close like a 1-0 or do I think it's going to be a little broader like a 3?
Yeah.
Um
Well, I mean, right in the middle then.
yeah,
Nice.
cuz it's one of those, it's obviously really hard to like call, oh 6-0 5-0 easy. It's
Yeah,
usually
especially in
safe.
the playoffs.
Yeah. It's usually safer to call the lower differentials. So yeah, real quick before
Yeah.
we go, want to look forward to the next round. So obviously, Hatsworth has already punched his ticket to the semifinals. So we're gonna kind of explore from his perspective. With
Yeah,
the
since we don't know
six,
who else
yeah,
is going to be there yet.
we have suspicions, but we don't know. So
Hmm.
with um 6 potential semifinal opponents up for Hatsworth of Emblem, Lily, Kawasabi, Shinenha, me, and Maddie Bananas. Anybody stand out that you definitely do want to see? Anybody who stands out that you definitely don't want to see?
Well, personally, I would say maybe, honestly, you. I think Hatsworth and you go way back. You have a history, and I think he knows how you play, as well as you know how he plays. But I think that makes the prep probably more interesting, more fun for him, as well as it's also maybe gives him a little bit of an advantage there.
This is
I think
definitely
Hatsworth
true.
is a bit flexible. Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I will say is Hatsworth and I would be another rematch. I got
Yes.
Hatsworth the first time, but I also got Hatsworth the first time using Rhyperior.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, which you don't have.
I don't have Rhyperior anymore. I traded Rhyperior off for Clefable just because in a
Yeah, you needed a fairy
vacuum,
type.
I needed a fairy type. Like,
Yeah.
in the specific matchup of versus Hatsworth, Clefable doesn't add as much as Rhyperior did. In a
Yeah.
vacuum, Clefable adds a lot more. And
Yeah, I would definitely
honestly,
agree.
like, so I think I agree with you there. Probably the most favorable next round opponent for Hatsworth to see would probably be me. Maybe if Lily or Maddie Bananas got through.
I would also see him being good at that as
Yeah,
well.
I think like especially versus Lily, he hasn't really shown it this season, but Hatsworth also has a really deep bag of tricks and a really big capacity to be creative. I think Hatsworth versus Lily, while like there's a very iffy chance of us seeing it, I think that would be probably the most interesting matchup that this playoffs could produce.
Yeah, I think Hatsworth has a lot of experience,
Yeah.
but I think he's very like humble or subtle about it. I think a lot of the time people don't know that, and I think it leads to maybe him being underestimated in his battles.
Yeah.
And I think when it goes against more creative players as well, that really shines through because he sees through those plays. He sees through all the new tricks because he knows them.
Yeah.
And so I think that would be a very interesting matchup as well, and one he would like.
Yeah. I think on the other hand, if we're talking about like do not wants,
Oh,
there is
yeah.
one giant neon sign that like is all around Hatsworth that just screams, not Shenenha, not Shenenha, for the love of God and all that is holy, not Shenenha.
Yeah, it's like
Anyone
he
else?
can't. Yeah, the Sun and the versus the Rain matchup is never a good matchup for the Sun.
Yeah.
Even if his team isn't entirely Sun based, it still takes a lot of his strongest Pokemon off the table. So I
Yeah.
definitely think that is not a matchup he wants to see.
Like we were talking earlier, like Hatsworth doesn't necessarily have a Sun team. Hatsworth has a Chlorophyll Venusaur team that just happens to have the nice little added benefit of having Charizard there. We like Charizard if we're Venusaur, but like even so, just in general, Sun and Terrain is never something that the Sun player wants to be doing.
Yes.
Like I remember like way back, I was against like I had a Rain team and I was against somebody who was much better than me who happened to be on Sun, and it was just like, this is just unfair. This is so unfair, man. Pelipper, you stop getting to play this game. I'm just sitting here throwing I win buttons, and it's just, man.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of an unfair matchup there. So I guess we'll see how that turns out.
Yeah. And we will just see how the like whole bracket unfolds. So
yeah, and we'll come back next week and do another one of these just to kind of go over our semifinals.
Yes,
there.
we will have a, what we got right, what we got wrong, and we'll also preview what's going to happen there. Hopefully, we'll get the semifinal preview out before either of the semifinal matches gets played. Fingers crossed.
Yes.
So for those of you who are out there watching this, if you have any sort of end-of-video questions that you want to make the semifinals, leave those as a comment on this, or if you happen to be in the server, DM me, DM Waffles, we will get to your question. So thanks for stopping by and talking playoffs, Waffles, and we will see all y'all next time.
Yep. See you, friends. Make sure to join the Discord if you haven't already. Then you can just talk to us directly about those things too.